So today we're going to do the handover video on the Swift Sundance 600S. We're going to start on the outside, then we're going to move on to the inside. Firstly, on the outside, you'll notice you've got your awning which is on the side. When operating the awning, all you need to do, connect your awning pole onto the winder there and simply wind out. Wind out to a level that you can then reach it. You then have some legs within the awning which you can then pull out, then take the weight of the awning and then simply walk out. So wind a little bit, angle the legs and walk it out. What we say as a rule of thumb with the awning is only use it when there's no breeze at all, because as soon as you get a breeze, as you can imagine, it's almost like having a sail on the side of the van, so it can get very dangerous. So make sure that you only use it in conditions like today, where it's not too much of a breeze. On the outside, you'll notice that you've also got your truma vent, which is here. This is for your water. You need to always make sure that when travelling, this cap is on, and then when stationary and using the vehicle, you then need to remove this, because in essence that is the vehicle's chimney. So make sure that this cap is removed. And as I say, that's when using the truma system for your water. Moving along, you'll also notice that you've got your hookup point, which is into there, so when you're on a site you can plug into there. And then moving down, just next to that is also your gas locker, where you can store your gas bottles. Right at the back you've got your final storage area, which once open you can access. You've also got your awning pole, which is also in there to operate the awning. Moving to the back, you've got the tow bar on this particular vehicle. And you've also got your drain down point. You've got three main drain down points in the vehicle. You have a freshwater drain down point, you have a waste drain down point, and finally you also have a boiler drain down point. Firstly, your wastewater is actually external to this vehicle, and that's located underneath where your gas bottles are, which is this grey valve there. Simply turn the cap on the top to empty the water, and what we say is when you're on site you'll have a massive grid that you need to drive over. Once at the grid, turn this so it can dump the water, and then simply leave your drain down open. And we say that with all your drain down points, leave them open as you're travelling home, because the vibrations of the road travelling through the van will get all that water out. As I say, wastewater's here, and then your two other drain down points are on the inside of the vehicle, which I'll show you later on. Just moving round, you've also got your cassette toilet, which is on this side. Once open, you can see that your cassette toilet is just here. To remove the cassette, all you've got to do is pull this yellow clip up, and then you can simply remove. The most important thing about the cassette, and when removing it, is that the blade on the toilet is closed. If this is open, what will often happen is you'll go to remove this cassette and it'll get jammed. So you'll pull it and it'll get jammed in the system, and then some people make the fatal mistake of pulling it, carry on pulling, and then what that simply does is snap the arm. It's an absolute nightmare. So make sure that this, when you're removing, the blade on the toilet is closed. And as I say, I'll go more into depth with that on the inside of the vehicle to show you where that is. However, during use, simply remove, just like so, and then you can simply empty. Using this cap here, flick that out, unscrew the cap, and then empty. You'll then notice that you've got a yellow button which is on the bottom there, on the back. Hold that when emptying the system, and that'll release a vacuum, and it'll allow all of the contents of the cassette to flow out in one steady slurry. Once you've done that and you're rinsing it out, give it a rinse out, and then simply place back in, like so. Moving across from the cassette toilet, you've got your fridge vents, which are here. Just one thing to know with this is if the sun is beating down on this side of the vehicle, simply turn the vehicle round, because in essence this is where the fridge pulls its air from, and obviously if that is hot air, it's going to take a bit longer and it's not going to work as efficiently to cool the fridge. So just keep that in mind. Finally, on the outside of the van, you've got your water point. This is for your fresh water, and this is where you fill up. So when you're on site, all you need to do, unscrew the cap, remove this, and then you put your hose pipe in, and then you can simply fill up the entire freshwater tank, just like so. When it's coming out, obviously you know that it's full, and then stick your cap back on and secure it. And as I say, that's just done from there. That concludes the outside. We're now going to move on to the inside of the vehicle. Just quickly, just moving onto the inside. On the left hand side, right hand side as you walk in, you'll notice that you've got a light switch here, which will operate the lights in the vehicle. And then you've also got your step button, which when pushing up, will extract the step. That's just there. Above the habitation door, you've got your control panel, which is just here. So just to run you through this, starting at the top, you've got a vehicle battery, and then you've also got your leisure battery. If I flick that up, which is now on the vehicle battery, that'll then run everything off the vehicle battery. If I flick this down to the L, which is the leisure battery, that'll then run everything off the leisure battery. And then in the middle, it means it's off. I always recommend always having it on the leisure battery, because the worst case scenario, for example, if you run out of lights, which is on your leisure battery, you don't want to then be flicking it over to your vehicle battery, because if you do that, you'll just flatten that battery and you won't be able to move anywhere. So you're much better just having no lights rather than obviously not being able to move whatsoever. So if you can, always keep it on leisure battery when you are using it. And as I say, in the off position is just in the middle. Next, you've then got your light switch. Turning that on, that's the main master switch for all your lights in the vehicle. Moving across, you've got a pump. You can actually hear that when I turn that on. Your pump will activate all your... in essence, what that'll do is you'll turn this on. You'll then go to all of your taps. It'll then activate the pump and pull fresh water from the system. Firstly, before doing that, I go to all your taps, including your shower, turn it on and then turn it to hot. What that'll do is it'll pull fresh water from the freshwater tank, through the piping system, through the boiler, and then finally out the tap. That's therefore going to prime the system for the tap and also the boiler system. Once you've done that on the hot water, flick it over to cooled and do the exact same. And as I say, that's all done by the pump. Once you've done that, you can leave the pump on, because on each of your taps you've got micro switches, so it'll only activate the pump when you need it. And obviously the main thing to know with the pump is never to run it when you've got no water in the system, because then you'll just simply burn it out. You've then on this side, moving across, you can see your battery. You've got your battery level. If I hold that down, it'll show you. And then you've also got your water level, which is just there. If I activate the leisure battery, just by clicking that down, you will notice that it activates everything, showing your leisure battery level and then your freshwater level as well. Moving back from the control panel, you then notice that you've got your bench seat, which will turn into a bed. Underneath this bench seat, you've got one of your second drain down point, which is for your freshwater tank. As I say, as I've been through, you've got your wastewater, which is on the outside. We're now moving on to your freshwater, which is just underneath this bench. So I'm just going to remove the cushions so you can then see. Once the cushions are removed, you can see that you've got access to your freshwater tank, which is just there. To drain down this system, all you've got to do is remove the cap, which I'll do now, and then simply put your hand in, and you'll notice a plug. You then simply pull the plug, and that'll empty the system. I'll just remove this cap now so you can see that. After removing the cap, you can see straight into your freshwater tank, and as I say, to empty this, all you've got to do is pull that plug, which is just there, and that'll empty the system. Just like the wastewater, this can be left open as well when travelling. Once you've got everything back together, I'm also going to just show you your water heater, which is just here. So you'll notice, at the top, you've got two very similar looking controls. So the first one up at the top is for your gas. So, it's going to be difficult to see, but on one side you've got an O, which is on this side of the control. And then if I flick this down, as you can see, there's a little bit of play. If I flick that down, you can then activate it and put it onto gas. So you've got a little flame which is just on the side, just on there. So turn this down to activate the gas. And then using this, you can then rotate and change the temperature. To operate this, when operating this rather, when you are on when you're not on a site, and for example, let's say you're wild camping, you need to use this one. And as I say, this is on your gas, so flick that on, make sure your gas is turned on, and then you can alternate the between the different temperatures. If you're on site, for example, and you're hooked up to electric, you're going to be using this one down below. And with this, at the moment, at the side, quite difficult to show you. There we are. But you'll notice that you've got your O, which is the off position. Then moving up, you've then got your 2 kilowatt electric. You've then got 0.5 kilowatt electric. And then you've got 1 kilowatt electric there, depending on how much power you are supplied with on the site. Depending on that, obviously just select which how much power you are allowed and you're allocated on the site. And then again, use this this dial just to alternate between the different temperatures and things like that. And as I say, this is for your water heating. So this isn't for your space heater or your heating in the vehicle. As I say, this is just purely for the water. When operating this is where you need to remove that panel and that cover from that truma vent, which was outside. And as I say, this is all operated from here, so this is the water heating only. Gas up at the top, electric at the bottom. Next, moving into the kitchen area, we've spoken about obviously your tap and everything. You've got your oven and grill, which is here, which is a full height oven and grill. And then just quickly whilst I'm here, on your windows, to operate these, all you need to do, pull up on these latches just to release it, and then simply push out. Then moving the knobs, you can then tighten it into place. To then close this, simply do what you did, just in reverse. You can also have these on venting, so there's another latch if you want that. Up at the top, you've also got your blinds, which pull down like so, and you've got this on all of your. You've also got this on all of your windows. Opposite your kitchen is your fridge. On your fridge, you've got a 3-way fridge, which is by Dometic. You'll notice that you've got initially your off button, which is just there. You've then got the option of selecting on 230 volt, 12 volt, or gas. So just to talk you through it, when you're going to use each one, 230 volt is going to be used when you're on site, and you're on a campsite. 12 volt is going to be used when you're travelling, because that runs it off the leisure battery. And gas, finally, is going to be used when you're wild camping. A lot of people initially think when you're travelling that you can use that you can run the system off your gas or your leisure battery. You can't. That you can run when you're travelling. So a lot of people think when you're on the when you're wild camping rather, that you can use your 12 volt system to power the fridge. However, it doesn't provide enough power. If that was the case, it would literally just trip your van. So you can only use your 12 volt when you're travelling. Your gas is used when you are wild camping. Just coming over to the side here as well, you've got your temperature, which you can alternate through there. And you've also got an igniter switch if you are running it off the gas. And then finally on your fridge, you've got an unlock and lock button to stop it from flinging open when you are travelling. Just before moving on from the kitchen, you've also got your microwave here. It's worth noting that this will only work when you are plugged in on 230 volt. Moving on from the kitchen area, you'll also notice that you've got this panel in the floor. Underneath there is your leisure battery. You don't need to access that or get to it, it's just mainly for our technicians, or if you're ever wanting to swap it out. Above your oven and grill, you'll also notice that you've got your aerial. To operate this, all you need to do is unscrew this, simply push up, and then tighten it back into position. Using this arm here, you can then alternate and swing and tilt the head of the aerial, just to increase your range. As I say, this is just here. This is one thing that you need to know as well, and this goes for all your windows and everything. You need to always check that this is down, and the same thing with the windows, you need to make sure that they're closed when travelling, because you don't want this to be hitting anything when you are travelling. So make sure that that's in the down position like it is now. Moving into the bathroom area, before I move on to your toilet, cassette, your RCD breaker, and also storage is all located in your wardrobe here. Within here, you'll notice that you've got your breaker box, your RCD breaker. So if the van ever trips, you can come to here. And you've also got a couple of fuses which are just there as well. And as I say, that is all located in your wardrobe, which is in the bathroom. Moving on to your toilet cassette, we've spoken about obviously your taps and also your shower, how to prime them. But moving into the cassette, To operate this, firstly, as I was saying outside, you need to make sure that the blade is closed. So when you're not using this toilet, you need to make sure that the blade is closed, and that's going to stop from any odours from escaping. During use, all you need to do, open the blade just by sliding as I have done there. That'll open the cassette, and all your waste can drop into the cassette. Once you've done that, you then need to go to your blue button there, which in essence is your flush. Click that, and that's going to flush the system. It's worth noting that your flush will only work when your pump is on, so make sure your pump's on when you're doing that. After use and you flush the system, you need to then close it, as I say, to make sure that no nasty smells or anything like that escape. And you should always have this closed when removing the cassette, and always double check that. As a rule of thumb with everything, if it feels like it's being forced in a motorhome, you are probably doing something wrong, so just bear that in mind. Moving up from there, as I say, we've touched on your shower in regards to priming it, and also your tap, which are back there. You have also, finally, before moving on, got a vent up here, which when using the shower, make sure you do open to avoid condensation. Moving back forward to the front of the van, you'll also notice that you've got your boiler system, which is here. As I say, you've got 3 main drain down points, as I keep mentioning. You've got your wastewater, which I've shown you, which is external to the vehicle. Your fresh water, which is underneath this bench seat that I'm sat on. And then you've also finally got your Truma boiler point and boiler drain down point, which is located in here. The only thing, it looks very complicated, the only thing that you need to know is, as I say, this drain down. And to drain this system down, all you need to do, pull up on that, and you can actually hear that draining out. In the up position it's open, in the down position it's closed. It's worth noting this can close each way. Just needs to be in that down position, just like so. Make sure that you always drain down the system when especially in the months, but when not using the vehicle, because you don't want frozen water in your system. Because if you do get frozen water in the system, it'll simply crack and break the boiler, and then you've got to pay for a new boiler, which isn't cheap. So make sure that you always drain down the systems. Finally, next to your boiler, you've also got your space heater. So you've got your 2 points to operate your water heating, which I've shown you. But then for the heater itself on the inside of the vehicle, this is where you operate it from. On this side, you can operate it using the 230 volts, so when you're hooked up, which you can do just through there, you move the dial to alternate through the temperatures. And then on this side, you can use it using the gas. You've got an igniter button here, and then you can also using this dial, change the temperatures like so. And as I say, that is the vehicle's heater, and does not control the hot water. Your hot water is done on them 2 dials over there. So that concludes the handover on the Sundance 600S. I hope you enjoyed.